Growing up, every man was told he needed to treat women with the utmost respect. Men should always be cordial and classy, which turns them into the ultimate gentleman. However, if this is the only thing you do, it tends to get rather boring for women, and many men neglect the primal urge women also have. You see, women also have some crazy thoughts and desires. In fact, many people even believe that women are represented by their natural urges far more than men. And this is why they're a completely different person behind closed doors. As a man, it's often needed that you become your primal self and learn to indulge in the dirty things that girls wished men would do. But first, we need to understand what a woman wants in a man. The gentleman with a dirty mind. You see, women can be complex when you ask them what they want in a man. In fact, their minds will change so often during this conversation that you might find yourself left with more questions than answers. This is simply because women are not straight up with what they want in a man, and they'd often want to imply their desires. You've probably found yourself confused at times as well, where you thought you had a woman figured out only to see her behavior change completely. This is not uncommon for men to see, but in reality, she is the same person. You're just getting to know her better and entering what's called her private life. Whilst it is a fact that women desire a gentleman, this doesn't mean they're not seeking anything a little dirtier or even frowned upon. You see, women desire a gentleman in public, someone who will take care of her and treat her with the utmost respect as she views herself as the princess. However, the same does not necessarily apply behind closed doors, and when it comes to the bedroom, this is where things are often a little uncanny. Women have the same desires as men. They're just not willing to talk about them as freely. This is due to being afraid of being labeled whatever it is that young men tend to call women these days. So, through the years, women have learned to keep their desires a massive secret, and they hope men will catch on and know that they want things to be a little dirty as well. This is where the gentleman with a dirty mindset comes into play. You see, you're not constantly trying to seduce her or even irritate her with your desires, but you're treating her like an absolute queen when in public. The difference is when you're alone and behind closed doors, she wants you to turn into the primal beast of desire and allure. This might shock many men who've been living under the illusion of women being the perfect princesses. So, today we'll look at 9 dirty or frowned upon things women desire from a man, but men are unwilling to take the risks. Let's dive in. Number 1. Be romantic. Let's start from the top and work our way down into some of the more unique things that women desire from men. You see, one of the biggest turn-ons for any woman is a man who can actually be romantic in a calm way. Romance is something that has died down significantly in recent years, and with life being such a massive rush from point A to point B, it makes sense that men are kind of scared to be their true selves. With so many influencers out there who constantly preach how a man should not care and find a way for women to become obsessed with him, the word romance and everything it entails often goes forgotten, and men simply forget how important it is that a woman feels the romantic attraction between the two of you. Before you can do these things in the bedroom, you first have to court a woman, and this means that you'll need to get her attention in the bedroom first. Since romance is something very few men do nowadays, it's also something that will naturally make you stand out, and she will definitely love the fact that you're doing something like this. But romance doesn't mean that you need to abide by her rules and only do things she wants to do. No. What we mean by romance is when a man takes the lead in the relationship and gives a woman a great experience, where he shows that he's interested. And then it should either create a spark or you should be willing to walk away if things do not work out. You must focus on being romantic, as this will most likely be your best way into having the opportunities to do some of the more raunchy things. Romance also leads to a natural dopamine spike in the minds of women, which automatically makes them more attracted to you as well. Number 2. Being assertive or dominant. Another way you can turn a woman on in bed, or just by being yourself, is to be somewhat assertive when it comes to how you treat her. You see, the big issue in the modern era is very simple, and it's that men are unwilling to stand up for what they want. And they believe if they don't abide by her rules, she'll not give him what he wants. But this is simply why many guys have to beg for what they want when it comes to women. And you don't want to be the one who begs for sexual experience. You see, one of the best ways to create attraction is by being assertive. This means that you make your decisions, and you follow through or stick to them whether she likes them or not. You see, being assertive doesn't mean that you'll need to be a dick to her. It just means that you're not going to allow her passive-aggressive nature to rule you in any way. If you want to do something, you should do it. And if you want to say something, you should not be worried about the repercussions. This ties into one of the videos we've previously made where we focus on why men need to take the lead and live life by their own rules. You see, society is in such a mess that everyone's simply following the current. However, if you can stand on your own 2 feet and stand up for yourself, she might not like it, but she will definitely respect what you're doing. This actually turns a woman on, since she doesn't know what she's getting next, and she also understands that you hold the power to walk away at any given point. Number 3. A little dirty talk when flirting. This next one is another one of those things that men often don't know how to do, or are afraid of when they do this, it will come off as being a little too intense or even make him look like a complete asshole. However, men who understand how to read situations and know how the female mind works should have it easier when it comes to flirting and dirty talk. Women love it when a man can flirt and add some dirty talk in the mix because it creates the golden keyword that makes any relationship ready for the next level. This is called sexual tension. You see, for any kind of attraction to take place between a man and a woman, there needs to be some kind of sexual tension. Sexual tension is what drives 2 people to finally break the ice and go for it. But men don't know how to create this sexual tension. Well, one of the best ways to do this is to add dirty talk into the conversation. But it needs to be within the context of the conversation. Since men don't understand the rules of engagement when it comes to talking to other human beings, they often say things out of place. And this can make it feel like kind of weird as well. The idea is that everything should be congruent, and when you do this, she needs to know that it's simply playful banter and dirty talk. Women tend to respond quite well to these kinds of things. Number 4. Making the actual move. Now, you can talk about this all night if you happen to be on a date, and you can easily continue to talk about it via text messaging the next day, but this doesn't solve any of your issues of turning a woman on. You see, it takes a man with a little bit of courage to actually make the move that will turn a woman on. As a man, you should be willing to risk rejection and make this move, which can be done through touch or even some suggestive conversation. But the idea is to touch her and see how far you can go before she's uncomfortable. In most cases, men who have the natural charm and the skill to do all the previous things we've mentioned will by now already have their minds turned on. Once you have the mind turned on, it's only the body that needs to follow. And this is where you'll make the move. In fact, women crave a man who can make the move. Number 5. Make her beg for it. The next one is something that could get a lot of men in trouble if they misread the situation. However, women want to be teased, and whilst she might never admit this, she wants you to tease her to a level where she is ready to beg for you. You see, many younger men believe that a sexual relationship is only about their own satisfaction. But these relationships often run out of steam rather quickly because women want to work for something. Have you ever noticed how different you feel when you have to work for something instead of having it handed to you? Well, this is the exact same for women, and many women want you to tease her to such a degree that she simply cannot hold it in any longer. Women will even beg for you if you've done this correctly, but men don't know how to do this and take the relationship to this level. Keep in mind that if you're going to make her beg for it, you also need to deliver. Nothing's more frustrating than being so excited for something only for it to be a complete letdown in the end. Number 6. A little pain and hurt for some. Our next tip is a little more complicated, and for this one, it's often better to discuss this with your partner before you try something like this. However, there's something about pain in certain people that seems to turn them on, and many women also desire a little sting of pain occasionally. Now, there's a massive difference between what is called violence or assault and adding a little pain to a situation. The pain can be something as simple as spanking or something more elaborate like using toys in the bedroom. If you've had this conversation with your partner, she should tell you if she's up for a little bit of pain and you can discuss the details. Whilst pain is something that can often turn women on, it's also one of those things that you need to talk about to ensure that everything is going as smoothly as it possibly can. Make sure to discuss this with your partner, and you could potentially spice up your love life as well. Number 7. Emotional connection. Now, this one might not seem like some kind of dirty way to turn a woman on, but have you noticed that women are extremely turned on by toxic men? We don't want you to become a toxic person, but if you can create emotional ups and downs in a somewhat playful manner, you will naturally be in a position where you can turn her on. You see, women can sleep with any man, but the feeling inside will often be empty, and once it's done, the only feeling she will have is guilt, for the most part. However, if you can create an emotional connection with a woman, it's often built on trust and mutual respect, which means that women will crave you even more. Now, creating an emotional connection doesn't mean you should become her punching bag for all her emotional struggles, but rather just become the kind of person that she feels comfortable being around and wants to engage with when it comes to such personal matters. Men who can create an emotional connection, but also add a little spice of unpredictability to the relationship, will keep a woman guessing. As we've mentioned in many other videos, women love when their mind is preoccupied with some kind of mystery. And this is what keeps them interested and attracted. In fact, it's also one of the things that actually turns her on. Number 8. Suggest new sexual things you can do. If you're dating someone, your private experiences can quickly turn into some kind of routine, where you both just go through the motions, and this will eventually satisfy the both of you just a little bit. However, it is detrimental to any relationship in the long term and can easily lead to boredom in the bedroom. One way to continue keeping her interested is to suggest something new. For some women, this can be adding toys, and for others, a simple guide that gives you more ideas is more than enough to turn her on and get her excited. You just need to figure out how you can break away from the normality of the relationship. The last thing you want to do is have a relationship built on boring sexual experiences. In fact, many women might even cheat as they look for someone who's a little better when it comes to doing this. We recommend trying new things or even being a little impulsive, where you can do it spontaneously in different locations as well. Dominate and control. Finally, the last one is perhaps the best way to turn any woman on, and it requires a little more work when it comes to having a sexual encounter. You see, women always want to be dominated by men, and they've always craved this due to men being naturally in charge of the household and the leaders. Women want a man who they can follow and trust that he will lead them in the right direction. But when it comes to the bedroom, they want you to be firm and very assertive. One of the big reasons why rough is such a popular search term on some of the raunchy websites is because women actually desire to be completely dominated. This is also how you can see if she's attracted to you. A woman who is attracted to you will naturally be very submissive and allow you to control the situation. Women are not as complicated as you might think, and they have the same basic primal urges that almost every man on the planet also needs to deal with. The only differences between normal and successful men is that some of them can use these dirty tricks to turn her on a little more. But if you haven't seen our video on where women want you to touch them, make sure to check this out next.